So today, I want to tell you a story. It's about a boy named Ayan, and his journey takes us right into the heart of what it means to be an introvert. But this isn't about being shy or weak. It's about a quiet mind that sees the world with a kind of beautiful and sometimes painful clarity. This is the story of how silence becomes strength.
And isn't that where it always starts? With a label. Just one word that people stick on you. This one sentence, well, it pretty much defined Ayan's whole life. A life of feeling completely misunderstood in a world that just doesn't know what to do with quiet.
So what was really going on inside his head? This is what's so important to get. While everything on the outside was loud and chaotic, his inner world, wow. It was this rich, vibrant place, just full of observations and feelings and questions that were way too deep for small talk.
I mean, just look at this contrast. At a family get-together, what people saw was just a quiet kid in the corner, right? But what he saw was, well, it was almost like art. He wasn't just looking at people. He was seeing the truths they were trying to hide, the sadness behind a big laugh, the exhaustion in a mother's eyes, the unspoken gaps between family members.
And this is a really important point to understand. It wasn't that he disliked people, not at all. In fact, he was fascinated by them. The problem was the noise, the endless chatter, the pretending. For someone like him who could feel insincerity like a buzzing sound, it was just exhausting. For him, the truth could only really be heard in the quiet.
So, as you can probably guess, school wasn't exactly a walk in the park for Ayan. All that structured chaos, it just became a bigger stage for his loneliness. The quiet weight he carried inside suddenly felt very public and very, very painful.
And of course, when people don't understand, they just slap labels on you. He thinks too much. He has an attitude. He's not interested. He's shy. He's dull. We're also quick to label what we don't have the patience to figure out. And every single one of those words was like a little paper cut, just reinforcing that feeling that he didn't belong. But were any of them actually true?
Well, here's the real reason. His quiet wasn't because he felt too little. It was because he felt way too much. It was an overflow. He could see the insecurity hiding behind someone's arrogance, or the loneliness in the most popular kid in the class. And when you see the world that intensely, all the pretending just becomes exhausting. Withdrawing, it starts to feel less like a choice and more like survival.
And of course, feeling things this deeply made him so vulnerable, especially when it came to love. His connection with this girl, Sarah, it started in his own signature way, through quiet, focused attention. He really saw her. But when he finally worked up the courage to speak his simple truth, her uncertain reaction was just devastating. For him, that was so much worse than a flat-out no. It wasn't some loud, dramatic breakup, just a slow, quiet drifting apart that he played over and over again in his mind, always blaming himself.
So after hitting rock bottom, tired of the world, but mostly just tired of himself, Ayan finally reached a turning point. All that constant overthinking, replaying every painful memory, it all boiled down to one single transformative question.
It sounds so simple, right? What do I actually want? But this question, this is where everything starts to change. Not what other people expect of him, not what society tells him he should want, but what he truly, deeply desires. This was the first step on the journey from pain to purpose. And by looking inward, he found a new word for himself. It wasn't strange or broken, it was sensitive. And just reframing it like that, it was about so much more than just a word. It was about reclaiming who he was. He started to realize that his nature, it came with some heavy burdens, but it also came with these incredible strengths. And that was the first real step toward healing.
This amazing piece of wisdom from an elderly neighbor, it was like the final key unlocking everything for Ayan. See, all his life, that depth of feeling had felt like this crushing weight. But what he learned was that if you can just give that weight a direction, a purpose, it transforms into something powerful. It becomes wisdom.
And that's what he did. He found a direction. He started tutoring a couple of young students. One of them hid his pain behind a lot of noise, and the other hid her fear in total silence. And Ayan, he recognized them both immediately. He didn't just teach them math or history, he gave them his full, quiet attention. And just like that, the very things he thought made him strange were becoming his greatest gifts.
And this is where the real magic happens. His tendency to overthink, the thing that caused him so much anxiety, it sharpened into this incredible insight. The deep pain he had carried for years, it blossomed into this powerful compassion for other people. The confusion he always felt gave way to a quiet clarity.
And the solitude that once felt like a punishment, it finally became a source of peace.
He also learned another really crucial lesson: boundaries. See, for a sensitive person, just being available to everyone all the time is a one-way ticket to burnout. He learned that protecting his own peace, his own energy, that isn't selfish, it's stewardship. It's taking care of the very gifts he now had to share with the world.
Years later, he ran into Sarah again, and there was no anger, no bitterness, just a quiet, calm understanding. That moment taught him something so profound about healing. It's not about trying to erase the past. Sometimes real healing is about being able to look back at who you were, to remember it all, and to do it from a place of strength, without it breaking you.
So in the end, his whole journey, all those years of feeling like an outsider, all that pain, it all had a purpose. It wasn't a waste. It was a training ground. His loneliness had prepared him, you know? It gave him this incredible ability to recognize suffering in other people without them ever having to say a word. He became a safe harbor for them. His pain had been forged into his purpose.
Ayan's story really brings some big truths to light, doesn't it? It's this powerful reminder that not every strength has to be loud. Not every powerful life is lived out in the spotlight. Some hearts are tender for a reason, because they understand how fragile life really is. And maybe, just maybe, the whole point of life isn't to try and fit in, but to become fully, completely, and unapologetically ourselves.
I want to leave you with this last thought. What if we started to see quietness not as an absence of something, but as a sign of deep roots, a sign of a rich inner life, of a hidden strength, and a wisdom that doesn't need to shout to make itself known? What do you think would change if we started looking for the depth in people instead of just judging the surface?